Howdy all, I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd. We are a few short 48 hours away from the premiere of Snow White live action, starring the biggest star in the galaxy, who's only failed in every single movie and performance she's ever been in, Rachel Zegler. Ha ha! Listen, I am excited for this because we have been waiting years for this movie to come out, and Disney has done their best to damage control. This is some of the hardest working damage control I've ever seen to try and pretend that Rachel Zegler, the poison, the cancer, the radioactive bitch that she is, hasn't completely ruined any chance of this movie to have at finding financial success. They have now spent the past several days, first off, trying to convince the world that it's great because the shills got to release their headlines for the first opening salvo of pretend Rachel never spoke a word in the past 4 years. Pretend she's not an ultra bitch. Pretend that she's actually pretty and has talent. Pretend with headlines. She's brilliant. She's stunning. She's a supernova of brilliance. Yeah, you guys do know, as we mentioned in our last discussion about this, a supernova is a sign of destruction. It's the end of a life of a star that then wipes out all life in the solar system afterwards, all existence in that area as it explodes, brightly flashing in the sky and then vanishing forever. Please let that be the true part of this. Let her just fade away into nothing so I never, ever, after the next couple weeks, have to talk about her again. I would love nothing more than to never talk about this misguided, unibrowed bitch ever again. But guess what? I'm going to have to for a period of time that this movie's coming out, especially when Disney has gone so far to protect her from actually getting in front of an let's just say, manufactured questionnaire session. They have had her all over the world away from the regular media circuit. They've done a great job. Send her out to sing with her tiny little soprano voice. And yes, she's a soprano. I double-checked it with reliable sources. She's a weak soprano, though. She has a tiny voice. She doesn't have the power to belt out actual music. Point is, they've kept her around the world. Not actual interviews, not actual press circuits, and I thought we weren't going to get anything in the next couple of days, but one got past the goalie and scored. What am I talking about? Well, she spoke to Allure, and Variety had to remind us that Rachel Zegler says white studio execs kept calling to ask if I was actually Latina during West Side Story. Casting want me to bring my abuela in? She just can't help herself from being a nasty bitch, can she? Let's jump right to her statement, shall we? Talking about her casting time when Spielberg tapped her on the shoulder. There's confusion because I don't have a single ounce of Latin in my name. When I was in the running for Maria in West Side Story, they kept calling to ask if I was legit. I remember thinking, do you want me to bring my abuela in? I will. I'll bring her into the studio if you want to meet her. Having a bunch of white executives have you prove your identity to them, it's an interesting experience being part of the diaspora in the current climate we live in. But I love being Colombian. Oh, honey. I must remind you and everybody else that you're half Colombian. The other half of your lineage, your genes, your DNA is Polish on your father's side. Polish. That's about as white and European as you can get. But she's Colombian, everybody. With Rachel Zegler, it's always about race, and hate. And I'm using the word hate specifically because she's going to talk about in a moment how we should discard hate and embrace kindness going into the future. Why is it always such a detriment to have white lineage? I'm Colombian. Honey, you're half Colombian, half white. Is your father a horrible person that you shit on his entire side of the family? Was your grandmother on your Polish side so bad that you can't bring her in to prove something? No, has to be my abuela because I'm Latina and I'm Colombian. She's a disingenuous, fake, horrible person talking like that. She hates her own white side, and it comes through in this type of discussion and presentation. But I mentioned that she talks about not wanting to go forward in a world of hate where we have to be kind, because she says this later in the interview. That's why it's important for the next generation to see movies like Snow White, to realize there's nothing wrong with choosing to do what's right, and that it doesn't have to be with anger or a clenched fist. Anger can be a powerful emotion, but it doesn't bring the brightest future. Snow White chooses kindness and still makes change. Power takes many forms. I hope we'll see a new dawn of kindness and acceptance in the next couple of years, and people don't see the need to use hate to cause fear and further division. I love that she actually had the chutzpah to come out there and say, we must not let hate and anger rule us. We must be kind to avoid further division. Time for the history lesson. Whenever she does something like this, time to remind everybody that Rachel Zegler built her life for the past 5 years on hate. Let's do the history lesson. Here it comes. Remember when she led the campaign against Gina Carano. She was on the front lines trying to cancel Gina Carano for having an opinion that differed from hers about pronouns. Remember that. She spent a lot of time doing that. Then remember when she tried to cancel Jeremy Renner, when stories pertaining to his divorce came out, and she said that he was a racist, sexist, and a transphobe and did all these horrible things to his wife, when in fact all those stories were quickly proven to be false. Remember when she came out with hate-filled statements like all of these right here to try and cancel a man she didn't even know. Then we always love her to remind people she's always been on the front lines of attacking J.K. Rowling, who agrees with every other thing that Rachel Zegler believes in commie Marxist propaganda. She believes everything else Rachel Zegler adheres to, except for men are men, women are women, and there are only two genders. But she was on the front lines screaming that J.K. Rowling needs to be canceled, saying stuff like elbowing a transphobe, stepping on a homophobe, the joys of walking through New York City. Wow, that is so kind and not causing division. And I use the word division because then we got to remember she spent a lot of time hating on Donald Trump supporters, calling them racist, this and this. I hate you. I'm going to beat you. Sit the hell down. All that stuff capped off. This was you could see this is 2020 in these posts here in the collection. But then just a few short months ago in 2024, 4 years later, to prove nothing has changed in the world of Rachel Zegler. After Donald Trump won re-election, she went on her Instagram tirade. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. We don't need to. We'll just read the final part, which leans towards what we're talking about. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. That is Rachel Zegler. Just a few short months ago, wishing basically pain and suffering on everybody that doesn't agree with her ideologically. Yet right now, a couple of days before the premiere of her movie, she's going to be preaching kindness, gentleness, don't talk hate, don't talk anger, because that might cause future division. Wow, you were preaching division just 4 to 5 months ago, you hate beast. This is Rachel Zegler, plain and simple. Do not be fooled by the shill media pretending she's a beautiful, kind creature who just wants to dance with children and sing with digital animals. Don't believe that. Believe her own words. Believe her own actions. Believe what she says. She says she hates you if you don't agree with her. And remember that. If anybody says, I'm thinking about going to see Snow White in a couple of days, remind them who and what she is. Show them the evidence that I have laid out before you. This movie will be dead in the water solely because of Rachel Zegler. If it had been anybody else in the role, and they had actually run a proper, normal campaign of, hi, I'm in this movie, I hope you like it, The movie would probably still be meh, but we wouldn't even have any stories to tell except we're watching the box office. But instead, we have an entire world of media built around the fact that Rachel Zegler is a monster. She hates you. She hates herself. She hates the white side of her ancestry because she never talks about it. Everything's about being Latina when she is as white European as you can get being half Polish. Never trust anybody who hates themselves because they hate themselves and they most definitely hate you. Stay tuned. In a couple of days, I'll be back with my Snow White review. I'm sure it'll be a fun one. Until then, I'm done. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe to me right here on YouTube, where I hope to earn your trust and support using facts and logic, because facts and logic do not care about fake fan Stan and SJW Fifis. Thank you again for watching. Take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.